I was told by the former president of Afghanistan, that we have over 1,000 members of the Taliban that are in our dadgum country. We don't know where they are. And this bunch of knuckleheads, all we do is move on to the next shiny object. We better wake up or we're going to lose everything.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Elaad Eliahu, the White House correspondent for Timcast, and today we have a very exciting episode for you because we are in Congress today, and I have Representative Burchett next to me. Thank you so much for taking the time. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. So I know we're limited on time, so I wanted to jump right into the conversation. One of the first stories that I wanted to bring up and get your thoughts on was that I know it was about a week ago where we had the two National Guards by the White House. Both were shot, one was murdered. Sarah Beckstrom was killed, and Andrew Wolf, both West Virginia National Guard. Mr. Wolf is still in critical condition now. What's your reaction to all this stuff?
I'm not surprised. I have a bill dealing with the Taliban, defund them. We sent them about $40 million a week currently under NGOs and other things. We have totally disrespected this country out of our own greed, because some of that money flows back into this country through to politicians and dark money. Yeah, and we're funding these people. We allowed them to come in here. We were told that they were loyal to this country. I was told by the former president of Afghanistan, that we have over 1,000 members of the Taliban that are in our dadgum country. We don't know where they are. And this bunch of knuckleheads, all we do is move on to the next shiny object. We better wake up or we're going to lose everything.
Well, as I understand, the perpetrator of these murders was a collaborator with U.S. troops fighting against the Taliban.
Yeah, he was connected with the CIA. Yeah, he was.
And then we ended up bringing him in as a refugee because he was a collaborator.
Sure he was.
Do we owe anything to those who collaborate with American troops
we owe
abroad?
it to America that we don't bring in a bunch of knuckleheads and murdering thugs, because what they did is, and this will come out, act surprised when you hear it, but we had a special group that they were a bunch of murdering thugs, and they were probably trained by the CIA. And so we brought those guys in here. You don't just turn that switch off. If you bring them back, you better make sure and we brought them all back. And we don't know where they are. And I don't know if this guy was part of that, but we've got a bunch here. But you multiply that all over the world with this, open door policy.
Absolutely.
And it's wrong. It is completely wrong. We better start paying attention.
In a Truth Social post regarding this situation, the president said, "I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover. Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation." What's your reaction to that statement from the president?
100%. Donald Trump is right, and he is right to say that. And the reason he has to do it through executive order, because this dadgum Congress, I don't care who's in power, Republicans, doesn't have the guts to do anything. Let's do a hearing. We're going to have a hearing on something in 6 weeks, and then let's write somebody a strong letter. And and I'm sick of it. That's why I've got over 20 executive orders in the form of law that are languishing in a committee. And this bunch, they can't. We're going to rush up here and name a bunch of post offices or something. And it's very frustrating to me, dude. The gloves need to come off. We need to take our country back.
To follow up on that, though, some critics of the president say that he's painting with too broad of a brush. And just because one of these collaborators who helped out Americans when we were fighting the Taliban, just because he went crazy doesn't mean we should ban visas of all Afghani citizens. In the Wall Street Journal editorial, they wrote, "Afghan refugees shouldn't be blamed for the violent act of one man. Collective punishment of all Afghans in the U.S. won't make America safer." Is this BS? What do you think about this stuff?
I guarantee you they got a guard on their front office. You can't just walk into the Wall Street Journal. You can walk in here, and there's a guard, but you can still get in. And that's bogus. That's the stuff that gets Americans killed. Again, we need to quit worrying about what these so-called opinion makers think. We better start doing what's right, and that is not right.
Absolutely.
They need to call every one of their asses in, and they better interrogate them. They better figure out who they are, who's paying them. We allow people to go back, they become American citizens and go back and join the Taliban and then come back to this country. I was just briefed on it just an hour ago. Where's the outrage on that? It's ridiculous, man. this place is so wide open, we better start protecting Americans.
Absolutely. It seems that we're coming to a head on Americans when it comes to the immigration issue.
Yeah.
The president was promoting reverse immigration. What do you think about this stuff? Should we have net zero immigration? Should we start?
We better stop it. We got a hole in the boat, and this bunch up here, they just want to bail. You better plug the hole first and then bail. And that's exactly what Trump wants to do, and I'm all about it. Again, he's going to have to do it because Congress sure as hell won't do it.
Absolutely. And it's not only the illegal immigration that I think many Americans or people in the MAGA base have an issue with. There's this one thing, H-1B visas, that's recently come to the limelight.
But it's like any other good program in this country, and H-1B is probably a good thing starting out. It needs to revert. They need to have like a $50,000 or $100,000 fee to make it worthwhile. Because what they do is supposed to be high tech. They're bringing in all this stuff, and it's putting Americans out of work. They're paying them less. Somebody's getting fat bringing them in, and the whole thing just stinks. They figured out they've taken a good program and they've wrecked it.
I believe it's roughly 700,000 active H-1B visas filling in positions of what I believe should be American
jobs.
That we know of. Are Americans incapable of filling a majority of these positions?
No, we're very capable of it, but we're not going to do it for $1 an hour. And they figured out a loophole, and they're taking full advantage of it, and they're doing something illegal.
I believe the president said, though, that some of this immigration was necessary. Recently, he cited like a South Korean battery plant manufacturer.
There's some
that was necessary.
Yeah, they have some specific technology, but when you're getting down to people working in restaurants and things like that, they've abused this system again.
And this is particularly common in the tech industry, as I understand.
Yeah, it is, and there's specific industries that we have no knowledge of, but we can learn from that. We can bring them in, but again, if it's worthwhile, put $100,000 fee on top of it, and then they're not going to bring somebody in to undercut some construction worker.
Absolutely. I also understand that one of the top priorities of the administration obviously has been immigration, and the big beautiful bill, I believe, almost tripled the funding to ICE or DHS or some associated agencies. Are you satisfied with the current status of the mass deportation effort of the administration, and do you believe ICE can go further than it already is?
I'm very satisfied with it. Tom Homan is my spirit animal.
Do you think they are going to ultimately reach the goals? I believe they want 1 million a year.
Well, they're going to run out eventually. I mean, we got allegedly 15 million, which is kind of daunting when you figure the population of the state of Tennessee is 8 million. But there's probably more than that because we've been asleep at the switch for a long time. Again, immigration was a great program. Had people come in and work. Migrant labor, they work, farms, other things, factories, and then they'd go home. They're not doing that. They figured out a loophole and they're staying in. Again, a government program that probably started out well. These things need to have a sunset on them where they need to end, and then the Congress comes back and reevaluates it.
Absolutely. I wanted to hit on another important topic that's been on the president's plate, and that is dealing with the narco-terrorist regime, the illegitimate regime in Venezuela. Just to get started,
I'm all for it. We've lost more people to just fentanyl alone than we have to the Vietnam War. They're saying it's an act of war. We're not at war. If you want to declare war, that's Congress doesn't have the guts to do it anyway. Look, I'm sick of it. We're not talking about some guy smoking a little weed in his house or something, growing a little weed behind his house. We're talking about people that are bringing in something that literally the head of a pin could kill everybody in this room.
Should the president come to Congress for approval for any of these strikes?
No, because if they do, Congress will alert the enemy, as we've seen. Under Pelosi's reign of terror, we had a group, they took Soleimani and some of them out, and they were ticked off because they weren't told they're allowed to give a prior approval. That's ridiculous. Trump did it what a leader needed to do. He didn't take him out in an airport. He didn't take him out in a village where innocent people died. He took him out on the street. And the way they identified that guy, you know how they identified him?
How?
By his ring finger. Because he had this, that's about all that was left. His shin bone was up again. I saw some classified pictures of it. It was pretty gruesome, but it took him out. And nobody died. It's like the early days of Las Vegas, brother. Nobody died that shouldn't have died.
Just to follow up on this point, though, many argue that the mass majority of the fentanyl that is coming into our country and drugs that are coming into our country aren't coming from Venezuela. So even if there were to be total regime change there will still be a fentanyl and drug issue in our country. Yeah, well, you got a problem. You got a horrible dictator there, but also that sends a message to everybody else. Would you support regime change or troops on the ground in Venezuela?
Currently, no. No, I don't want. Trump understands this, but most people don't. As a leader, he understands the first most powerful thing we have is our military. The second is our economic power. Economic power. That's what we bring them down with.
Absolutely, and this is my last question that I just really wanted to quickly get to here. Many Democrats are accusing what Secretary Pete Hegseth and our Department of War of what they're doing in the Venezuelan waters to be war crimes. The Washington Post alleged that we did a so-called double tap that after the Venezuelan drug runners.
They need to check their sources, but the reality is that those dirtbags will not be spreading murder and death through drugs into our country again.
Senator Mark Kelly and Van Hollen from Connecticut suggested that if the reporting is true that these are war crimes. What's your reaction to that? And then Mark Kelly also was, encouraging service members to disregard so-called illegitimate orders. How should we feel about this?
I think if we listen to them, it'd be open borders. They'd be in our country, and they got no guts. Absolutely. They have no guts. We need to protect this country first and foremost.
Absolutely.
We call on our military, the best people in the country, to do some of the most awful things, but they do it because they have an oath to this country.
Absolutely. Representative Burchett, thank you so much for your time,
It's
and we
Tim,
appreciate
dude.
you.
Thank you, brother.